In a world ruled by the four main races, humans, dwarves, orcs, and elves, something was born that would change everything forever. His name is Damon. And even before he hatched, apparently demons in this world come out of eggs, he already had triple the stats of a veteran human soldier, not to mention a whole stack of positive traits. From the moment he took his first steps, he was already responsible for a death, because when he cracked the shell, he set everything on fire. And to top off his very first kill, he did what any true menace would do. He took a nap, a long, really long nap that lasted for months. He'd wake up, walk around a bit, then go right back to sleep. That's basically how he made it to age 6. His happiness still wasn't at 100%, but honestly, based on what I'm seeing, sleeping is what makes him happy. Never thought I'd relate this hard to a pixelated little dude. Where's my family? Sorry buddy, you don't have one. So that was Damon's life for a while. He tried to play with the other kids, but they always rejected him. I don't know what their problem is. Pretty soon he realized he was inevitably going to bring trouble to the kingdom he was born into, even if he didn't mean to. The citizens realized it too, and they started harassing him so much that little Damon didn't really have a choice but to fight back. By the time he was only 12 years old, they'd already taken one of his eyes, and that's not even counting all the other traits he picked up during that brutal childhood. And somehow, even with all that, he still climbed to 1,900 health and up to 29 damage. Once the humans realized they couldn't kill him, they decided to lock him away on a remote, deserted island in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by lava and sealed off by a containment wall so nobody could get in or out. Damon had to survive for 1,000 years and learn to control his power if he ever wanted revenge on the world that rejected him. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. Within the first few weeks, he'd learned agility, he grew into an adult, founded his own kingdom, and transformed into a demon king. Thanks to all that evolution, he's now sitting at 3,800 health, a max of 61 damage, and somehow, against all odds, he's ridiculously happy. He starts by building a warehouse and setting up the foundation for what'll become his first campfire. But without wood, it's going to be really hard to thrive. While every other kingdom in the world is booming, Damon's story is only just beginning out here. Oh, and by the way, I'm changing his kingdom color. Black just looks better on him. For years, he has basically nothing to do except patrol the island over and over until he finally manages to light the campfire. And once that fire's going, the first sprouts of the Demon Infernal biome start appearing. Hopefully it spreads far enough for trees to start growing soon. Every now and then, ships from the outside world get a little too close to the wall, probably having no clue there's a powerful demon on the other side. I'm gonna leave a quick time lapse of Damon's early progress on the island. More than 3 decades later, Damon's little settlement has grown insanely well. The infernal ground has expanded a lot, and thanks to that, he's been able to build multiple houses and even a palace for himself. A few little creatures have spawned too, basically to keep him company, even though Damon doesn't seem too thrilled about that idea. Also, he's already over 60 years old, and he's collected pretty much every trait imaginable. And as if that wasn't enough, he literally just crafted a flame hammer, which boosts him to 253,000 health and up to 127 damage. And he still has 939 years left to go. Meanwhile, back in the rest of the world, the dwarves are basically the dominant race, pushing close to 3,000 inhabitants. The orcs, on the other hand, are constantly caught up in wars with each other, which seriously slows down their progress. In fact, all the orc houses are destroyed, which probably means they're at 100% homelessness. Anyway, let's fast forward a bit more and jump to year 500. We hit year 500 and surprise, the world is basically under dwarf control. These dudes reproduce like crazy. But technically, the other races are still around. They're just part of the dwarf kingdom now. Yep, that's a human. It looks like the elves were the last ones to get absorbed, because you can see all their houses are destroyed. But even with all that, a brand new race of intelligent crocodiles has appeared. They're tiny compared to the dwarf empire, but hopefully they survive long enough for us to actually see something happen. For a second I panicked because I couldn't find Damon, and I thought the video was about to end early, but thankfully he was just out here taking a casual stroll through the lava. He's now 239 years old, and even though his evolution has slowed down, he's pushed his health up to 300,000. What really stands out now is his speed. Since he dissolved his kingdom, he's no longer in Demon King form, so maybe that's why he's way more agile. I'm not sure why he abandoned his people. Maybe he thought he'd only be here for a short time, and then as the centuries kept dragging on, the reality hit him. That probably explains why he gets randomly sad and angry sometimes. But hey, as long long as he doesn't die, I don't really care what he's doing. A few months later, a town from former human territory decides to rebel, but the dwarves' military power is just too much, and they slowly wipe them out one by one. Also, I spot a kingdom expanding in the weirdest pattern, and it turns out the king and only citizen is a 3-year-old chick with heliophobia. So yeah, you can pretty much say goodbye to that little guy. Alright, let's skip ahead another 500 years. Welcome to year 1000. After almost disappearing, the dwarf kingdom of Nobdom recovered, and now it's attacking smaller kingdoms. And at the same time, a bunch of intelligent civilizations have appeared. Rats, rhinos, buffalo, you name it. Not to mention the second biggest kingdom after the dwarves is a super organized chicken kingdom. Sadly, they're going through a heat wave, which is slowing them down, but they're still doing really well. As for Damon, he's now 738 years old with 337,000 max health. Lately, what makes him happiest is taking naps, swearing from time to time, and murdering every creature on the island. I was digging through the subspecies list to see if there were any humans, orcs, or elves left, but honestly, I couldn't find anything. The closest thing I found to humans are bandits, but that doesn't really count. We've also got some stats here. Damon is the most famous being in the world, and the one with the highest kill count, even if most of those kills are wild creatures. The richest person is a dwarf named Adida with 99,999 gold coins. I guess that's the most coins they can store. And the data suggests chickens might actually have a shot at surpassing the dwarves because their max health is pretty high, and they usually have like 20 to 30 kids per person. But yeah, not everything is good news. For example, here's Durple, the unhappiest being in the world. And honestly, I get it. Recently he lost a child and several family members. And on top of that, he had to pay taxes. That's just evil. Let's keep time moving. By the time we come back, Damon should finally have hit 1,000 years. Okay, we came back a little earlier than expected because I noticed the dwarves are dominating the world again, but now there are these weird mutations popping up. And not only do they look cursed, they also seem to make creatures want to eat poop. Yeah, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say. This is probably happening because the toxic biome is spreading. Even the chickens that used to live mainly in this region have been affected. But the other thing that caught my attention is that Damon has founded his kingdom again. This time he went way harder on development, building a training barracks and what I think is a library. Because of that, he managed to craft mithril armor and a white staff to match, since it looks like his hammer broke. He also learned a ton of physical techniques, so I thought, why not summon a dragon and see how long it lasts against Damon? And yeah, it lasted basically no time at all. After killing the dragon, Damon gets the Dragon Slayer trait, and with everything combined, he almost hits 500,000 health and 175 max damage. But it looks like the world has forgotten Damon. He's not the most famous anymore. Now the Dwarf King holds that title. Alright, now we're really gonna let time run until he completes the 1,000 years. We make it to year 1264. The dwarves have reached 11,700 inhabitants, while Damon has managed to recruit some skeleton followers, even though I don't think 4 skeletons are going to change much. Still, it's time to bring the wall down and start Damon's revenge. The second I hit play, Damon flies. Yep, he learned how to fly, and he destroys a few fishing boats he finds along the way. As soon as he reaches the coast, hundreds of dwarves greet him with non-stop attacks. So many dwarves start piling up that my game literally starts lagging, and I can't even see what's happening inside. But the population counter is going down, so Damon is definitely wiping out soldiers. He quickly learns a new ability, repelling other creatures. That makes it way easier for him to attack without enemies stacking on top of him. And as if that wasn't enough, a town decides to break away from the Dwarf Kingdom, which had already dropped below 3,000 inhabitants and was also in the middle of a war against the rebels. Damon just keeps getting stronger. Now he's up to 339 max damage and 99% armor, which is probably from the shield he cast casts on himself, so basically they can attack him all day and they'll never kill him. At one point, the sky starts turning red. Damon switches into his most agile form and starts moving and attacking way faster. He heads toward new towns, trying to cause as much damage as possible. But here's the crazy part. The enemies are evolving too. The chickens can cast shields on themselves, and even though Damon learns another ability to shoot lightning, it's still hard for him to delete enemies quickly. Every so often he goes back to his island, rests for a bit, then jumps back into the fight. Before long, the dwarves have lost most of their population, dropping to around 400 inhabitants, and they start fragmenting. The fairies take the dwarves' place as the main kingdom, while Damon wipes out the rats and founds his kingdom right there, thanks to a new ability, reproducing through soul harvesting. And that's how Lona is born, the firstborn of the Demon King, and somehow this kid has even more potential than his own father. For 100 years, things are pretty calm. Both kingdoms grow super slowly, but the end feels close when the Demon Kingdom declares war on the fairies. But it's not just the war. Internal conflicts start breaking out among the demons too, and that makes King Damon genuinely sad. It starts feeling like the demons are fighting themselves more than anyone else, and that's because one of the Demon King's first children, Balone, joined the fairies' side. Everyone tries to defeat Balone, and right when he's about to get eliminated, he teleports away. But he isn't the only one. A small 12-year-old demon, also Damon's son, with insane potential, because at that age, he's already almost at 50,000 health, also joins the enemy side. The fairies prove they're smart and name him a general, and then I randomly run into Balone, who's hiding out and recovering fast. The conflict drags on for decades, until 50 years later, Tona, that same 12-year-old demon we saw earlier, gets crowned king of the fairies and faces his final battle against his own father, the Demon King Damon. Even with his ridiculous potential, he just can't compete with Damon's 1,000 plus years of experience, plus the very important help of these two skeletons. And when the battle's almost over, two of Tona's brothers, also Damon's sons, step in, separate them, and drag their father away so Tona can recover. While that's happening, the fairy kingdom is officially eliminated thanks to Ada, an elite soldier from the demon army. All the war leaves behind is Balone and Tona, becoming the two saddest beings in the world because they're forced to return to the demon kingdom. And from that point on, living together is never the same. And since they're basically immortal, they'll probably keep fighting forever. So if you enjoyed the video, drop a like and leave a comment. I'll be reading them.